I got saved at the age of 15 while in high school. We had a teacher from a missionary organization, Sudan Interior Mission, who was instrumental to my salvation. She was one Betty Lasher, who taught us Christian religious knowledge, one of the subjects offered in school. She was a very kind and lovely woman. Miss Lasher noticed that I was very active in the Bible classes, but perceived that I needed the experience of salvation. I was like Paul, very zealous in the Christian religion. It gave me joy more than any other thing. However, with my strong religious background, it was difficult for me to accept that I was not saved, because I had always been in the church all my life. Remember, I was born inside a church building. I started my primary school in church. The first class I attended was in a church building. Who then could be more saved than I was, I thought. I also thought that to be well behaved was enough. But Betty Lasher loved me into being born again. She would call me after classes, saying, "David, come over here. How are you doing? Are you fine? How are you finding your classes?" Cuddling me the way my grandmother always did. Then she would say, "David, you need a definite experience of salvation, right? Good works won't take you to heaven." She would give me pieces of tracts, literatures, pictures, and anything just to get my attention. Finally, with love and patience, Betty Lasher introduced me to Christ the 19th of February, 1969. I gave my life to Christ and became a child of God. Immediately, I could feel the new life surge through me. From then on, reading the Word became a delight, no longer a religion. Miss Lasher gave me a little New Testament Bible of only the 4 Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles. My intention was to read through it in one day if I could, so every little time I had, I would read it. Sometimes I would recite many verses offhand. I was really eating it. The New Testament came alive to me so much that I used the revelation of my encounters in it to deal with tuberculosis, TB. As a victim of TB, one day in September 1969, I woke up in the night to discover that all the students had moved their beds away from my side of the dormitory. I had been coughing terribly. I felt so ashamed. I went out and stood on a little rock behind the dormitory and called out to God, saying, "Jesus, if it is true that you did all those miracles that I read about in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, do it again, or..." That was it. The terrible plague of tuberculosis ended that night, and never to return. And that was some 52 years ago now. One day in 1970, something amazing happened. I was home on holidays, and suddenly my only surviving younger brother came down with measles. It was so serious that at dawn of the following day, he died. My mother wanted to start wailing, but I said to her, "If you cry, he will be gone forever. Don't cry. Put him on your back, and let's go to my father's building project site," which was close to our house. She put the dead 4-year-old boy on her back, and I walked closely behind her, covering her up so that passers-by that early morning wouldn't notice the dead child's dangling legs. We went to the place, and I asked her to lay him down on the planks. Then I began to pray. I can't remember the contents of the prayer, but I remember screaming, "Jesus! Jesus! Jesus!" And bless God, the boy came back to life.